Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker had me come out to South Carolina. So without further ado, let's give it a warm welcome to none other than Regional Director, the great Mr. Curtis Evans.
We had a real big weekend. We got in late Saturday night, but the meeting went real well. I heard from everyone. The meeting went very well. We have a ton of leaders down here, and they just stepped in and cranked it on up. So Mr. Thomas came to town, and he showed everyone exactly how to prospect and the power of prospecting and getting more and more eyes on the business. And that's all of our goals today. I'm going to go into that a little bit, not much. I'm gonna go into it, but the thing I want you to understand today is, sometimes when you're showing folks the business, or you're trying to show folks the business, or you're working on prospecting, or get them to take a look at the business, or they're in the business trying to help them to understand the power of gathering customers, and even after that, how to get them to an event. So there's several steps in growing this business. A lot of things happening at one time. It's been likened sometimes to, it's like herding cats. Everybody's got their own minds and they're working on. So it's sort of like herding cats. And I don't know about you, but I have never seen anybody with a leash walking with a cat. A cat got his own mind. He's gone. He's walking this way or that way, and that's just the way it is. So what I want you to do is understand what's going to happen to us in the future. I want your future to look really bright because you really have a gift. Don't see yourself when you're talking to someone about the business as trying to get them in. I want you to understand that you have just offered a gift, an opportunity. If you can get that squared up in your brain properly, you will talk to more people. You will talk to more people. You will introduce more people to the program. You'll say some words that would pique their attention. And remember, just a few words, not too many. Too many words, you run them off. But you just want to get their interest, okay? And so we're going to go through a few things here today that will help you to feel really good about what you're doing. Now, I know you already feel good about it, but if you can see the future right now, if everyone on this call can see the future, you'd have to reach in the drawer and go find some sunglasses, because the future is bright, especially for those folks that are involved with multi-level marketing, especially for those folks that are involved with direct sales. We have direct sales. In other words, you can bring in 5 customers, $200, 3 customers, 3 more customers, another $200, another 3 customers, another 2. You can make $600 and didn't sign up an IBO. So that's direct sales, okay? All right, so we can do that month after month after month after month, and over time create residual income from the customers that you brought in. That's highly unlikely in other companies because the folks don't need their products the next month. It's possible in our company. So that's direct sales, and multi-level marketing is teaching other people, referring other people to the process. So you will be good at what I do. I like to introduce you to somebody. Those are things that you can do and say to people to get them interested. So what I want to do right now is I want to take you through just a few things, and I hope I can do this right. Some days I can, and some days I can't. So first of all, let's talk about a little bit about the company. Okay, you guys know what this our company is. So once you get into the business, I'm gonna go through this in 2 seconds. Okay, once you get into this business, get started, pay your money, and let's talk about money. For instance, a lot of people say they don't have the money. That is not true. Anybody that starts any kind of business anywhere borrows the money to do that. Very few people have $2 million to start a business, $10 million to start a business, $30 million to start a business, $100,000 to start a business. Very, 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 very few. Very few people have enough money like that just hanging around to start a business. Some people don't have $324 hanging around to start a business. So they put on a credit card, go to a finance company, borrow it from a friend of theirs, borrow it from several friends of theirs. Just go get the money, okay? Because we got to get started. We can't procrastinate. Once they get started, they're in the business, they're an IBO, okay? They're in IBO, but we really want them to become customer qualified. Because see, as far as you go across the spectrum here, you can't get across here without becoming customer qualified. So let's try to get that done the first couple of 3 or 4 days, okay? Some people get that done the first couple of hours. 3 services in the system, they're customer qualified. We go over to ETL, they got 30 customers in the system. RSC, They got 200 customers in the system, them and their organization. They have 50, the organization has $200 total. They an RC, RD, a total of 600. Or you have 3 RCs in your organization. There's all kind of ways of getting across here, but I'm going to talk today about getting to RD. That's one of the goals that you should have. In order to do that, you want to create an environment where you're creating a lot of ETLs. You want an ETL factory over here. Now, as you notice, as you go through this comp plan, when you get to be an ETL, if another ETL shows up in your business, and they will, they're going to box you out. And they're going to do that simply because they get the $50 that you used to get, and it's their turn, okay? When you go to RC, you have 200 points in the system. You're making $150. As soon as somebody else becomes an RC organization, and you're going to be boxed out because now they get the 150 and you don't, you're an RC. Okay, but RD changes the ball game. Now, most companies that we look at, this kind of thing here is at the top of the comp plan. Okay, so you sign for IBO, you help them become a CQ, it kicks out $250 to you that week. When they become an ETL, now you're earning $200 per person that comes into that group. And then when you become RC, now you only are creating $100, which is really good money, $100. That's what you're earning when someone comes to your group. But when that person becomes an RD, you now get generational bonuses, and they are paying you to help this new RD that just came by. Okay, so the money never stops over here. That's why everyone in our company says to work hard, and show everybody what it is to be an RD. You really want to be an RD in our organization. Okay. And then naturally, where I am now, my next position is this, RVP. That's what we're working on right now. So the reason I show you that is because that's your success plan. That's your business plan. Your business plan is to move across. And you can't do that unless you're showing other people the business. I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. You can't get over here. Well, you can. If you got all 600 points, you can be an RD. But it's much simpler with an organization. So we want you to work hard to become an RD. Now, generally, I want most people to work on getting an ETL first. Get this promotion out of the way, make $500, $800, $1,000 getting here, and then we'll talk about the rest. But right now, for the people on this call, I want you to fall in love with whatever it takes to get to RD. There's several ways of doing it, okay? So let's talk about this a minute. So everyone on this call, your goal is to become an RD. So you can go out there and buy the car you want to pay or buy, or you want to, whatever it is you want, a boat, or if you want to start paying off the house, whatever it is you want to do, you can start doing that at the RD level. So we want you to try to get there and have a why, okay? So now we're going to share the screen again. And this time, once you become an RD, the company is going to do some crazy things. Okay, so then the company is going to invite you to an RD retreat. So they call it LCC recap, or LCC meeting, where they get all the folks that just turned RD, everyone that just became RD, they are here so they can learn from the co-founders. And I'm just going to play a little small snippet of this. They take 2 days with all the RDs in the organization and help those RDs. That's the goal there, to help the RDs get to the RVP level. Okay, so they're teaching.
It's about consistency of effort, not just effort. You can't build a legacy on intention.
And I'm just super excited about the Leadership Certification Conference here with ACN. We're in Charlotte, and it is amazing. This training is on another level.
You have to stand guard at the door of your mind.
And I'm at the LCC event here in Charlotte. What an event. 30 years.
When you think of yourself, the business is hard. When you think of others, the business is easy.
Spending the whole day with the co-founder and with all the great leaders. You guys got to get qualified, you got to get RD, you got to get RVP done, but this is going to be one of the main events that's going to change all the leaders' life.
Remember I said don't miss today's opportunity based on what? Yesterday's blessings. You are blessed to what? Be a blessing.
So we have a very, very unique company here. They want us to go to RD, and then when we get to RD, they're going to sit us down, fly you out there, get you set down for a couple of days to teach you how to go to your next level. A lot of companies don't do that. We take it for granted. So I really want everyone to work on becoming a regional director. Now, in order to do that, we got to talk to some people. we have to talk to some people. There's something called artificial intelligence coming, AI. AI means that this world is about to drastically change with artificial intelligence coming. That's machine learning. I can't explain it now. We don't have the time to do that. But there are going to be a lot of people looking for you. There are going to be a lot of people looking for you. So you're going to have to learn to pick people, to walk up to someone and compliment them on the job they're doing and tell them they'll be good at what you do. Hand them a flyer, get their phone number. There are ways to talk to these people. They don't know. In fact, you may not know. This is an old film, and they're talking about something happening in our economy that's going to cause people, Republican, Democrat, Independent, I don't care who's in the White House, this is coming, okay? So I'm going to share my screen again, okay? So let's watch this particular segment really, really close. It's called The Rise of the Entrepreneur.
The world is changing faster than ever. What used to take decades is now taking years or even months.
What you see right now is the illusion that people have had for many decades about the workplace being this secure place to work the rest of your life.
For the first time in the history of our nation, our children will not do as well as us.
We've seen our friends get laid off. We've been laid off. We've had our pay cut.
People are overworked and underpaid. They seem to have less time and less freedom. They live under constant pressure.
This is going to be forced. And so even if your employer loves you, they may have to cut you. There's something wrong that on Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases by 35%.
Technology is accelerating, job security is declining. It just doesn't seem like the old models of making a living are as reliable as they used to be.
Every aspect of our lives, there's a better way out there, but we're still doing it the old way.
We live in the greatest country on the planet, and there are a lot of people sitting around complaining and being cynical.
Like everyone's whining about this old model, and I'm like, why don't you leave it? Look at all this over here. Look at all this opportunity.
Since so much of our lives revolve around our work and the way we make our living, many people are thinking there just has to be a better way.
The biggest challenge facing our world today is not making money, is what are we going to do with all the displaced, unemployed people?
People are afraid that they're going to make the wrong decision. People are afraid of the unknown. People are afraid that maybe I don't have the skills.
Hey, sports fans, industrial age is over. It's dead. It's dying. That's why going to school to get a job is an obsolete idea. A steady paycheck is an industrial age idea.
It's the search for answers that has brought us here together today. My name is Eric Worre, and for almost 30 years I've been an entrepreneur, struggling at times, but ultimately succeeding. As a best-selling author, speaker, and business owner, I've spent my entire career helping millions of people around the world to become entrepreneurs. And I believe strongly that there is, in fact, a better way when it comes to how we make a living. The career landscape has changed dramatically, and many are still working in a model that is completely out of date. What worked for previous generations isn't working as well for people today. In this film, we're going to explore 3 important questions. First, what's really going on in our working world today? Second, in this new economy, is it better to become an entrepreneur, or is it safer to work for someone else? And third, if a person decides to become an entrepreneur and start their own business, how can they do it without taking on massive risk? To help in this journey, I've brought together some of the greatest experts and thought leaders in the field of entrepreneurship to share the real facts with you. My intention is to give you new information that will allow you to make choices that are not limited by an old, outdated model. Let's start by understanding what's going on in our working world today.
Let's look at unemployment. 30–40% of the people are honestly not working, but would be working. What our government does is if you haven't found a job in 6 months, we don't call you unemployed. We pretend you dropped out of the labor force. I've often said that unemployment, particularly structural unemployment, that's unemployment due to technological changes, is the first sign of economic growth. Think of it, 10 people live on an island. They go out every day and fish. One day, new technology shows up. A missionary brings them a net. Now, using the net, one pilots the boat, one throws the net. 2 fishermen can do all the work 10 used to. That's a 500% increase in productivity, 2 doing the work of 10. in one day. You don't have to learn a lot to learn how to throw a net instead of throw a fishing line. The island's got a big problem, 80% unemployment. But the island still has all the wealth of the fish because the 2 people produce as much fish as 10 did. Now, of course, looking back in history, these changes used to take thousands of years. And during that time, we went into farming and transportation. Some of us became doctors and some teachers and lawyers, and we developed all these new professions and new manufacturing jobs. Today, these changes are occurring literally in one day when a new technological advance occurs, and we don't have the social structures to deal with it or to retrain the unemployed people.
So one of the things that I think is interesting as I travel across the country and really travel around the world is the way that we work and the way we get paid for work is changing pretty dramatically.
On a global basis, everything is being turned upside down because of the rapidly advancing technologies. They are eliminating many jobs, and we have been left with many people not prepared for the jobs that exist.
A lot of demand in public companies was to squeeze out all the fat and to get just as much margin as we possibly could, and fat equals humans.
So this idea of job security and information age is so obsolete, but it's still taught inside our school system, and that's where the problem starts. There's no financial education in school system, and people are still trained to be employees to work for that paycheck. This is a chart on the middle class. What's happening in the middle class, those that went to school, their incomes have been coming down for years. And parents still say to their kids, go to school, get a job. Now what happens to all those middle class people who are dropping off the ends of the chart? Well, they become what's called working poor. And this is what happens to working poor. But they say poverty is ending. Well, poverty may be ending, but working poverty is going up. And this is food stamp usage. So food stamp usage in America is going through the roof right now because people cannot earn what they call a living wage.
Most people have experienced financial pressures that I think are probably greater than they have been in the past.
If you're not working for yourself, then it's going to be a pretty hard road for a lot of people.
Today, if you're going to control your future, the 40-40 plan is gone, where you can graduate from college and get a job and work for 40 hours a week for 40 years. That day is gone.
So some of these charts actually tell you what's going on. And this is a really interesting one, you know. People are going back to school because if I go back to school, I'll get a nice job. But this is what's happening to, it's called Sallie Mae, which is the student loan guys. Student loan is going through the roof. It's now over $1 trillion, and student loan debt is worse than credit card debt. So when people stopped using credit card, the government got people into student loan debt. And the problem with student loan debt is you can never be forgiven. See, with credit card debt, you can declare bankruptcy and all's forgiven. But student loan debt, you can declare bankruptcy, you still owe it. It's the worst of all debt. But this is the next picture. Look at this chart here. This is what's happening to wages of college graduates. It's going down. So you go to college, you rack up all this debt, but you earn less money. Now, that's not that intelligent.
Average person who's been working a lifetime in America today is ending their lifetime at 65 with about $41,000 in assets. They earned just enough to survive.
I think in the United States we have something like 17 trillion in debt.
That's just the federal government debt. We got another 2 in municipal and in other, let's call it almost 20 trillion government. We've got 40 trillion in private debt. That comes up to close to 60 trillion. When you then add something we never had before, what you were talking about, when we look at the unfunded portion of Social Security and primarily Medicare, Medicaid, that at the most conservative estimates from outside firms, Kleiner Perkins, 67 trillion and growing. That's more than all our other debt. There's less conservative estimates that say it's 84 trillion or higher. I added up conservatively $127 trillion in total debt. Debt is a financial drug. When you take it to excess, it's like taking a drug. Yeah, it makes you feel better, it enhances your performance, but at a huge cost, eventually it kills you. And so that's what happens. We keep doing more and more debt, and you get less and less results, just like a drug, until the debt gets so high that it crushes the whole system. That's where we're at, 8.2 times GDP.
You know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the person who dreads going to work, who is sick to their stomach on Monday morning, who hates their alarm clock, who gets a little glimmer of hope on a Wednesday because it's hump day and says, thank God it's Friday. And they live for those 2 days a week where they get to be themselves and they don't have to be around people they don't like, and they don't have to play the political game in the office, and they don't have to live this half life. The person that works 50 weeks a year just to be able to have the 2 weeks for vacation. And you know what happens to most of them nowadays? They don't have a vacation. They have a staycation. They have time off of work, but they don't get to go where they want to go because they're overextended. They've got all this debt. They got all this situation. They hate their alarm clock. They can't sleep until they're done. They have to spend most of their life in traffic. I feel sorry for that group of people because there's a better way. They just don't know it.
I see this really interesting attempt at rugged individuality in a 6x8 rectangle. And I feel like you're all the same, except for the little push pins of the pictures. There's different pictures. Yours is named Jenny and his is named Sujara, but it's the same people.
And this is how they are, and they're just like the zombies, and there's no joy in there, there's no fun. There's always like the wacky woman who decorates her cubicle, and that's the most she can do there. You gotta give her credits, right? The wacky cubicle woman.
The basis for their life is worry. I'm worried, you know, maybe I'll get fired. I'm worried maybe my company will go out of business. I'm worried I can't keep spinning the plates on paying the bills. I'm worried about how do I send my kids to college. I'm worried, what if the transmission of my car breaks? That's, you know, 2 or 3, I can't fix it. People live in a sea of worry, and it eats at them.
Those signs that people held up during the Depression didn't say looking for gainful employment in a cubicle. It said looking for work. Work is what we're looking for. Job is just a unit of measurement. Work is what we're going after.
So that video, and it's an hour long, much longer. It just basically says that there are people out there looking for us. That's all I'm saying. There are people looking for us, but they're going to look happy when you walk up to Victor or James or Jane or John or Martha. They're going to look happy. Oh yeah, I'm doing good. They're going to big time it now. I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you right now. They're going to big time it. $3.17 in their pocket. They're going to big time it. Okay. They're going to borrow some money, go to Beyonce this weekend because they need to have some fun. They're going to do some crazy stuff, and they're going to post it on Facebook, and you're going to look at them. You're going to say, oh my goodness, they're doing good. They're doing good. They're going to be taking pictures of somebody else's boat and somebody else's car and somebody else's house in the background. And they're big timing it. I'm telling you now, they're big timing it. What they're wanting you to do is call them and say, hey, listen, I found a better way. I got somebody, and edify them. I got somebody, Al Thomas, Joe Smith, Harry Baum, Curtis, Lurleen, Martha, somebody. I got somebody that is doing really, really well, and I want you to listen to it. They'll come on. They'll listen. But they're going to big time it, though. So you got to kind of listen to their big time and get through it. But this is going to happen here in the next 2 to 3 years. And what ACN is telling us is that we're going to earn more money in the next 3 years than we have in the last 10 years. So don't miss out on the opportunity. Go out and prospect, talk to people, and help them along so that they can come in, and we'll teach them how to do the same thing. So that takes care of what I have for today. Mr. Thomas, I'm going to turn it back over to you.